薄いのアホ。
プリズムパワーメイクアップオーカードレディー。
Welcome to Shojo and Tell, where we discuss shoujo manga and tell who's hot and who's not, talk about themes, and just generally geek out. Today, October 9th, 2023, we'll be shoujo and telling about the two shoujo manga adaptations of Cowboy Bebop. One of them is an original story by Cain Kuga. It's called Cowboy Bebop Shooting Star. And the other is like very much based off of the, main story of Cowboy Bebop. It's listed as being as by Hajime Yatate, who is just like pseudonym for Sunrise Animation staff, and the artist is Yutaka Nanten. So there's a lot going on here. I'm your host, Ashley McDonald, and I'm joined by the love of my life, Asher Sofman. Hello, Asher.
Hello, Ashley.
Who else are you, Asher? What are you?
What am I? Isn't that a question for the ages? I am but dust and ash, literally.
That's why your name is Ash.
That's why my name is Ash.
Oh.
No, I'm a rabbi. I have no anime credentials, but here I am.
You've watched a lot of anime.
I've watched a fair amount of anime, yeah, but I don't write about it. I didn't study any of it in school, except for when I snuck it into comparative literature projects.
Well, of course, you have to. That's like a classic anime nerd move.
Absolutely.
Silly. Okay, well, first of all, I want to say if our audio quality is worse than usual, it's because choices were made and my computer was being a real little brat and we're not using two proper microphones. I'm just on some headphones and I want to dead stare my husband in the eyes while we talk in the same room. Choices were made. We're going with it. That's just what's happening.
Choices were made only by Ashley.
Asher just said nothing and went along with it. La-di-da-di-da. And then his microphone wouldn't work, and I definitely did not curse out a computer for 20 minutes. It's fine.
It was fine.
It's all good in the hood. Okay, so this first section we're going to try to keep spoiler-free, although it's about Cowboy Bebop. Everybody knows about Cowboy Bebop.
We can still keep it spoiler-free.
We'll try. We'll try our best. Okay, so again, we're talking about two series, so it's probably gonna get confusing, but we're gonna try our best. Okay, so before we get into plot synopsis, talking about our two series, let me set up a timeline of how we're going here. So first we're gonna talk about, we'll do the synopsis for Cowboy Bebop Shooting Star, which came out from September 1997 to June 1998. So a little before the anime, because the anime were it started running a little before the anime and then overlapped with the anime briefly. The original anime broadcast was April 1998 to June 1998. And then the second Cowboy Bebop manga, which is just called Cowboy Bebop, so it's very confusing, ran from October 1988 till February 2000. And both of the manga ran in monthly Asuka Fantasy DX magazine, which is a shoujo magazine. And it's listed as shoujo, even though the anime is seinen, ? Profit. I don't know. Asher, continue with... make a synopsis of Cowboy Bebop Shooting Star.
Okay. So Cowboy Bebop Shooting Star is 2 volumes, and it ran for less than a year. So both manga kind of follow an episodic frame, kind of like the original Cowboy Bebop anime, where these bounty hunters try to collect a bounty and usually fail. So Shooting Star is a little, I would say a little more childish, perhaps in keeping with its shoujo publishing. There's a little bit of an ongoing arc with Scorpion, who is a syndicate leader, sub-leader, I guess. And
he's the vicious of Shooting Star.
He is the vicious of Shooting Star, but he's much less vicious than vicious.
That's because he's, what was he, 11, 13?
13.
Okay.
I think. Yeah. And it ends kind of abruptly. And that's Shooting Star.
It definitely ended with the author didn't know it was canceled and just tacked on an extra chapter.
Yeah. Like they went and handed in their chapter and they were like, oh, it's canceled. And it was like, oh. The other Cowboy Bebop manga also, is episodic, but it feels more like the Cowboy Bebop anime, probably because, some members of the original anime writing team were on it. And so it has a little bit more of the tone of Cowboy Bebop. It's, again, they have a bounty. They follow it. They may or may not get it. But it has more of that sense of the Wild West of space.
It has that. It nailed more the melancholy tone.
Yeah, the bittersweetness of it all.
Yeah.
The emptiness, the loneliness, but also the sort of admirable qualities of rough and ready frontiersmen who, they're not good people, but something in you wants to root for them anyway.
There's something charming about them.
Yeah. The freedom is there. The terror and the wonder of freedom.
Yeah. So those are both series overall. So Asher.
Yes.
What is your level of familiarity with with Cowboy Bebop overall? And did you know about these manga adaptations before I was like, hey, did you know?
I did not know about these. Well, I definitely didn't know about Shooting Star. I think possibly I saw that there were Cowboy Bebop manga in a Barnes and Noble or a Borders.
Yeah,
when we were
younger.
Yeah, possibly I saw it on the shelf. I didn't watch Cowboy Bebop until had I seen it in college? I don't think so. I think I saw it after college.
Yeah, it was my recollection of watching Cowboy. We didn't watch it together. I remember watching it at my grandfather's or something, either at the very end of high school or in college, I think.
I think you watched it before I did because you had opinions about it.
Oh, yeah. No, you didn't watch it until very recently.
Yeah. Yeah, because I watched it after we had moved into this house.
Yeah.
So I did not have very much familiarity with Cowboy Bebop until less than 3 years ago.
Well, that sure is. And then we both, together, we watched the live action Netflix series.
Yes.
When that came out.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. So what happened for me was that, I knew that Cowboy Bebop was a big old thing, right? Everybody loves Cowboy Bebop. You ask any semi-casual anime fan, at least above the age of 30, and they're going to say that Cowboy Bebop is one of their favorite anime. And so I think in the same way that I had never seen Evangelion until I was fairly older, I was okay, I need to go finally watch Cowboy Bebop. And I don't know, I'm going to be honest, I don't really get the fervent hype for this series overall. I don't think even if I had seen it when I was younger, I would have cared greatly more than I do right now.
It's not your vibe. No. I get it. I appreciate it. It's not one of my favorites either, just because I like kind of a bouncier thing. I like...
Well, you would think I would like it because it is so melancholic in the end and stuff.
But you're not into that whole, you're not into the male hero worship, wish fulfillment thing. You're not into the male wish fulfillment.
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop definitely speaks to a certain kind of nostalgia for figures that never really existed as we see them in media, but the rugged frontiersman, the rogue with a heart of gold, which is not your speed so much.
No, my 90s anime about space I love Outlaw Star.
Outlaw Star, absolutely.
I love Outlaw
Oh, no, I agree. I think probably I have a different 90s space thing that I love more than Outlaw Star, but I do enjoy Outlaw Star.
Outlaw Star is just so fun.
Exactly. It's fun in a way that Cowboy Bebop isn't. Cowboy Bebop is very serious. It's goofy, but also still...
Yeah.
yeah.
Again, it's like, I think the thing that people gravitate towards definitely is actually the seriousness and like the gravitas and like, look at how cool and like sad Spike is and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I don't care.
Yeah, it's like, and like most of Cowboy Bebop is silly, right?
Yeah.
But there's something about it that is still sad the whole way through.
I actually started to think about how it's actually kind of what makes Bleach compelling to me, but like Bleach has more for me to grab onto. Like Bleach at its height, like what I really love is just that, like that piercing melancholy, like sad boy Ichigo, like this is really sad, but then it's just surrounded by like goofy nonsense, right? Like that doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's like Cowboy Bebop, there's a futility in it actually that I don't think either of us really jive with.
Yeah.
You like sad, but you like meaningful sad.
Yeah.
The Cowboy Bebop crew, it's sort of trying to make meaning out of a meaningless and sort of
A lawless,
too vast
Yeah,
existence.
yeah.
They are very isolated in, even though they're a crew,
Yeah.
each of them is alone in their pain.
Yeah.
And sometimes they almost connect. And then whatever they're about to connect to, they split ways.
Yeah.
Because that's the nature of both space and cowboy stuff.
Yeah.
I'm way more into cowboys than you are.
You are way more into cowboys than I am, which again, I think is semi-funny because I'm way more into America than most people I know, actually.
Certainly more than me.
Yes. More than most of my friends on the internet and otherwise. I am more into America and what it could be.
But you're not into heroes.
No, I hate heroes.
And it's not like Cowboy Bebop is full of heroes, because it's not.
No.
But there's something about them that is echoing that heroic ideal, just flawed, right?
Yeah. And so I'm just like, I get it, and it's not for me. It's basically like what it comes down to. But I guess it's bringing it back to these series, like, yeah, did you prefer one over the other?
We're just talking about the manga
Just
adaptations?
about the mangas. I guess we could do a ranking after.
I liked the Cowboy Bebop manga better than Cowboy Bebop Shooting Star.
Yeah. Shooting Star, I mean, we'll get into it, but like Shooting Star definitely has, Spike is like not on the same model character design wise. And throughout the series, they slowly transform his hair to be like Spike's anime hair.
I love how like latched onto that you were.
Oh my
For
God.
me, it was like characterization was really different. And like I'm okay with different versions of a thing being different.
Yeah.
But these versions were not compelling to me in the way that the anime and the other manga that's not Shooting Star were compelling. They don't quite have that, either the spark or the fascination, right? That spark, that thing that is admirable about them, and also like their flaws weren't as interesting. It's just a little clumsy in Shooting Star. It's a lot clumsy in Shooting Star.
Yeah, Shooting Star is pretty clumsy. Like, I tried to find more information on Cain Kuga, but a lot of our sites, at least in America, I mean, I'm sure if I had done, like, real digging into, like, old fan sites or something, I could have found more, but you do get a little, like, insight into the creation process and, like, her life in the back matter, you know, about making the comic. And I don't know, it's just like the only thing listed on our American sites is Shooting Star. And she definitely mentioned at one point that it's like the first time she had to write an original story. So it makes sense that it's clumsy.
Yeah, it kind of shows.
It shows for sure. Okay, so I mean, well, I'm definitely interested. Yeah, out of all 4 adaptations or 4 iterations of Cowboy Bebop, like, what's your ranking?
I do think I enjoy the original anime most.
Okay.
I think actually the one that appeals most to my sensibilities is the live action adaptation.
Yeah.
I think in part because you could just see the actors having such a great time.
It played up the silliness.
It played up the silliness more, and that's what I'm about. And it also had more of a through line than the original anime.
Yeah.
And I am a sucker for stories. Like,
Yeah.
I like that more than episodic, atmospheric stuff.
Yeah.
Which is what the original anime is absolutely all about.
Yeah.
But of course, because the live action one got canceled, we don't get Radical Ed, which is a travesty.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Then Cowboy Bebop Manga.
Yeah.
Just because it's short and doesn't really go anywhere. It's enjoyable.
Yeah, it's just like side stories that you could take as from the anime.
Yeah. Yeah. And like it's
extra stories.
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I think the art's really good, and actually the pacing of each episode for the most part was pretty good. But like, you don't need it.
No, you don't need it for sure.
And then Shooting Star, just because it felt strange.
It was weird the whole time. Yeah. Yeah, I feel like I'm gonna say something controversial here and be like, I think actually I might like the live action.
This makes sense to me. I think for a lot of the same reasons I just cited. Yeah. You like a storyline.
Yeah. I like that, we got to make fun of it. I was like, yeah, I appreciate this, in a way that I don't normally, like, at all appreciate live action adaptations of anime. Like, I get the appeal, again, of the original anime, like, great, like, again, that atmosphere, running on the music, running on sad cowboy vibes. Like, okay, I get it, but I'm just like, it's not for me, so I'm gonna pick the live action. And then, as you said, yeah, like Cowboy Bebop, just titular manga than Shooting Star, because that was
Wait,
weird.
Where's the anime on that ranking?
Oh,
Second?
Second.
Okay.
Come on, I'm not that controversial.
Just
I'm
like,
not
what?
like, put it below, put it down here. Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, so perhaps now you have been intrigued by both of these manga adaptations, but of course this is some out of print crap from Tokyo Pop. I think I did actually have a fair amount of issue finding some of these volumes. Like, I definitely paid above cover price for at least 2 of them, And I'm willing to do that because I make a podcast and it feels like I'm doing something good for the world, but I don't necessarily advise that for you to just go for funsies and spend $50+ on something that's 2 to 3 volumes. That's not what I'm about, but I don't control you. So that I'm just telling you it's out of print and it was published by Tokyo Pop, and I was gonna say that it was pretty good quality for Tokyo Pop, but they definitely started dropping like grammar at some point in the like Cowboy Bebop one. They were just like, you don't need that comma, or like, yeah, you don't need that. And I was like, I mean, it would kind of help to understand the sentence, but fine. Tokyo Pop BS, it's typical. You can't escape it. But so now we are going to like talk more in depth about, why Shooting Star was weird, and probably some more specifics of different stories. So if you don't want to hear that, then pause here. And if you just want to hear all the weird things about these 2 extra iterations of Cowboy Bebop, continue on, Space Cowboy.
Yes, what we're saying is we're entering the spoiler zone.
Yes, spoil zone. Don't yell at me. So I think it makes sense to start off with like just a general character comparison between the iterations, which I think will be less interesting for stated Cowboy Bebop and not Shooting Star, because they're weirder in Shooting Star. They're off.
Yeah, no. In the Cowboy Bebop manga, they're pretty much the same characters. There's not that much to say. I know that you said that Jet was a little different to you.
Did I say that about that one or about Shooting Star?
I mean, they were all different in Shooting Star.
I feel like Jet was the closest to being normal Jet in Shooting Star.
Maybe that's what you said.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. well, we can start with Jet then. I mean, Spike and Jet are like dual,
Right.
like main pros. So yeah, like Jet, I don't know, Jet and Shooting Star just like, it felt like he was almost the same, but there was some weird like, they're just like angrier.
Yes,
Shooting Star?
Jet and Spike were both angrier in Shooting Star. Spike in particular, it bugged me.
Yeah.
Because Spike was he was spikier. He really didn't want to deal with kids, and he really didn't want to deal with anything troublesome, really.
Yeah.
He didn't have as much
women,
of
kids,
that.
dogs.
Right. I mean, and these are all things that like he does avoid dealing with. Like he doesn't want to deal with kids and dogs and syndicates in the other iterations, but he's meaner about it. Spike in other iterations, you always get the sense that like when it comes down to it, he'll at least like, he won't necessarily do the right thing.
Yeah.
But he'll like look out for the people around him in a way, you know?
Yeah. Like you get a sense in the just titular manga and OG anime that it's like they're a found family, even though, as you said before, it's like they always almost come together and then they have to split apart because that's like the cowboy thing, right? But like at least through most of those iterations, you get the sense that it's like, well, you actually care about each other. You're just like in a garbage space capitalism system, like lawless capitalism system that doesn't allow
You've been betrayed by too many systems, and you do not. You're boned. Like
yeah.
And
but in Shooting Star, it definitely felt like, what is this?
Yeah, in Shooting Star, it felt less that Spike was like cautiously guarding his heart.
Yes.
And more like he was actually just mean-spirited.
Yes. That's what it is. He's not the like Kiyoma, like tsundere boy that he is in other iterations, right? He's just like, no, I seriously hate kids.
Right.
And women and dogs.
Which is like not Spike in other versions. Yeah.
And like, yeah, I don't know. Like, first of all, Faye in that version is the worst. Faye in Shooting Star might as well not have been there.
That, and when she's there, it's awful.
It is awful. She is truly just like a joke in Shooting Star. Like, she is there to just be a bimbo who likes pretty clothes and shiny things and wastes all their money. Like, half the time it's not that they lose the bounty in the way that the funniness of, you know, how are they going to lose the bounty this time? You know, it's like, no, she just goes and like blows all the money on stupid crap in Shooting Star.
Right. She has no backstory. None of them really do, except Ed a bit.
Yeah, I was like, did it even say that Jet was a cop? Like, maybe once.
I think once, because Jet's ex-partner was giving them tips.
Yeah.
So, like, that was still there. And again, Jet was the one most like himself.
Yes. Just, like, darker, emo-er Jet.
I don't even feel like that was necessarily true. If you're stuck with such a mean Spike all the time, you'd get meaner in defense,
you'd get ornery, too.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fair, I guess. Yeah, so, like, Faye just definitely sucked in Shooting Star. And I think Faye, I mean, maybe I just, like, misremember how the anime... I mean, she's always the tits and ass girl, right? Like, that's part of her. And in a way, she's still, like, cool and kick-ass and everything. I don't remember the anime, like, in this, it definitely was, like, she was talking about butts, and it just, like, showed her butt. And, like, she's just, the boobs are so, like...
Yeah, that did happen.
So booby, you know?
She breasted boobily down the stairs.
Yes.
No, Faye got robbed. And yeah, other iterations of Faye. She can be shallow and make a lot of stupid mistakes, right?
Yeah.
But she's just very complicated.
Yeah.
You don't get this. you don't get the underlying desperation and loneliness and like how impossible her situation is in Shooting Star. You don't super get it in the regular Cowboy Bebop manga either, because you don't get her backstory so much, but you see how much she sort of cares and respects for other people.
Yeah, I was like, you get that one story in the
Yeah.
Cowboy Bebop manga that's about like an old gambling hustler partner she has, and you know, there she's like, you taught me everything I know, but we now like you're a bounty, and I have to like we're gonna play this one last game for everything, you know?
Yeah. The adults in Cowboy Bebop, they all have, except for in Shooting Star, usually the adults in Cowboy Bebop have their empathy. They have their moments of showing like, wait, no, this touches me in some way and I want to help you. Or even if I can't help you, I'm going to do this in a way such that it respects who you are and that you are a person like me who messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah. We don't get that so much in Shooting Star.
No. Well, so the best part of Jet in Shooting Star was that there were interstitial pictures of him, you know, trimming his bonsai, shaping his bonsai trees, and that they were very good and cute and funny.
And giving Ain a bath. It was also cute.
Oh, yes. So the first volume is him shaping his bonsai, and then the second volume is all him giving Ain a bath.
It's very cute. And the fact that that's the best thing about this manga is a little sad.
It's a little sad. Because, well, okay, so I mean, I think naturally the most interesting character to talk about in both iterations actually is Ed.
Mm-hmm.
So in Shooting Star, so we're going to get to this as a topic, but like, so Ed in Shooting Star I actually felt like was the main attraction, and yet the changes that were made to Ed's character were the worst. Would you agree with this assessment?
Not worse than Faye.
Oh, that's true. Faye was the worst, but like,
no.
You had to deal with Ed more, so it got more grating.
Yeah.
You know?
I don't super feel that Ed was the main character in Shooting Star.
I said Ed was the main attraction.
That might be true, yes. Yeah. No, it's like, usually other iterations of Ed, you know, you get a sense of like how wildly genius she is, and that you get a sense that there is some kind of internal logic that might be really wacky and sort of simple, right?
Yeah.
Wacky and simple, but like is there. Whereas in Shooting Star, I mean, it's just annoying in Shooting Star.
Yeah, again, it's like Cain Kuga gave Ed, like if you told somebody on paper characteristics of Ed, like Ed speaks by saying Fei and Spike, like is a hacker, has a dog that's a super smart computer dog. Like all those elements are there, right? But there's an endearingness to the way that Ed comes off in other iterations. Well, again, Ed's not really in the live action, but the other two iterations, you know, that's like cute and endearing, and you're like, that's just like a severely autistic child, but they're still a child, so like cool. That there's just not that endearing level to the Shooting Star Ed.
Yeah. It's just something wasn't right.
There's because Spike also resists this Ed more, right? So like then this Ed has to be always like fighting against Jet and against Spike and like just going totally rogue. And again, they're just like legitimately annoyed by it.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. It's overbearing.
Yeah.
And that it's unsympathetic. Like, Ed steals money from them, right? Like, Ed put a bounty on Spike.
Yeah.
Which, like, you know, Ed doesn't know this, but we know that Spike is on the run from the mafia.
Yeah. So the way that Ed got their attention was by putting a bounty on them. Just like hacking into systems and being like, yeah, bounty on these guys.
Yeah. It's like, you never get the sense that in other iterations that Ed is malicious. And it, like, not even stupidly malicious, right?
Yeah.
Ed does stupid things in Shooting Star.
Yeah. Ed is a little, like, needy, has, like, very clear wants in Shooting Star, and then, like, does do some, like, questionable things to, like, obtain those desires. So you're like,
Yeah, and it's not like Ed didn't do some questionable things in other iterations.
Yeah.
None of them are good people.
Yeah.
Except Ein. Ein is perfect.
Ein is a perfectly good doggo.
Yes, has never done anything wrong.
Yeah, this Ed also, like, is really off-model and... Okay, actually, my biggest question about Shooting Star Ed is, like, what was their shirt? Was it see-through?
I had questions about... It's just the sleeves.
Oh.
Just the
Is
sleeves.
it? Okay.
Just the sleeves appear to be see-through, I think.
Okay.
But,
Because
like...
that's very, like...
But it doesn't look like there's a seam or anything, so the sleeves and the main shirt should be the same material, but you can always see through the sleeves. I don't know. I interpreted it as stylistic. It does kind of make Ed look like a literal fairy.
Yeah.
So like a literal manic pixie dream girl.
Yeah.
Before that term was really in use.
Yeah.
But it's weird, and I don't like it.
It's weird, especially since Ed's gender is, like, a thing, right?
Yeah. Like, and I think across the board in all iterations where Ed exists, like, people will say, usually on first glance, people are like, that's a boy, right?
Yes.
People who seem to have known Ed for a while will usually call Ed she.
Yeah.
But the only gendering we really have, or, I mean, I don't remember the anime that well, but in the Cowboy Bebop manga that's just Cowboy Bebop, Ed is Ed in a tiny little bubble.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So in Shooting Star, it was very confusing because there's very few references to Ed as gender. And so, like, it would be very easy if you did not know that Ed's gender is, like, Ed, right? Or, like, that certain people call them she and other people call them he.
Except it's not consistent in Shooting Star.
No, I think in Shooting Star it was still consistent.
Oh, was it?
People, like, the crew called Ed she, and, like, all the bounties that they were searching for and whoever else they interacted with said he. I think that was, but there was just so few references of it that you would, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you didn't know that Ed's, like, gender was, like, a thing that is a big topic of discussion among fandom and, like, the series, you would just be like, is this a typo? What is happening?
Yeah. Okay.
Whereas very clearly in the just Cowboy Bebop manga, it was like, yeah, everybody who isn't among the crew or wasn't also a trans question, like the gender of them was not, like, up for debate as well, knew that Ed, or like, so the crew called Ed she and everybody else was like, no, except for the one person who, there was a story basically about a would you call them transsexual, trans?
I would,
gender.
but I am retrojecting terminology that wasn't so much in fashion in 1998.
Yeah. But basically it was one of the early stories. It was like story 2 or something where Spike goes to jail looking for a bounty that's already in jail for some other reason or something.
Yeah.
And basically it's a trans woman. And as soon as she sees Ed, she's like, oh my gosh, you are a girl and you should look cute. And Ed is like, no, Ed is Ed.
Yeah. Should we just get into that story?
Yeah, I was like, would you like to expound more upon that story?
I mean...
And your thoughts about it?
Yeah, I was uncomfortable reading that story.
Really?
I was.
Why?
Not because there was a trans character, because like, yeah, fine.
Okay.
And not even because like,
I didn't think it was super disrespectful or anything.
no,
though.
I didn't either, except, and like, if you go and read this, yeah, there is some of that 90s sort of, you know, the lines weren't drawn so clearly between transgender, transsexual, and gay. So like, you could just get the sense that like, if you were reading this in 1998, you'd be like, oh, that's a gay guy.
Okay.
Or a transvestite.
Yeah.
Which nowadays people police that line a little too much, probably.
Yeah.
No, what made me uncomfortable was Spike's reaction to, what does she want to be called?
Marilyn or something?
Marilyn. Right. She had like 3 names and
Yeah.
it's hard to keep track. Yeah. Because there were some jokes in there where it's like Marilyn would flirt with Spike and Spike would like reject it in a way that felt very like, oh, the joke is that she's a gay man, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like,
no, Spike was definitely like semi-respectful, being like, okay, she, when Marilyn was there, and then like definitely at the end of the story said he, I'm pretty sure, to be like.
He also kept referring to her as Sydney, which was her
yes.
old name. And like, to me, that's a feminine, gender neutral name.
Yeah.
I know more girl Sydneys, but I do know boy Sydneys.
Yeah.
But also, like, she didn't want to be called that.
Yeah. He was dead naming her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like, there was also Julio was a name. And I don't know where that was in the...
Oh, yeah. That was... He was looking for Julio, and that led him to Marilyn. And then Sydney was the bounty. I don't know. I don't remember all the intricacies of this.
Yeah. Anyway, I loved her.
Yeah.
I didn't love much of the packaging of the story. I did actually kind of love where the story went, where she saved Spike and then went back to jail.
Yeah, that was a funny. That one was good at the like how they lost the bounty.
Yeah.
Trick there. That was good.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. I was. Yeah. Like Spike is the issue in that story. Like I thought overall the portrayal of Marilyn's life was like fine. It's just, you know, Spike being a little Spike.
Yeah. And it is interesting seeing how different adaptations of Cowboy Bebop handle queer and gender questions, right? Because they're out in the frontiers of space where you can kind of be whatever you want, because like who's gonna stop you?
Yeah.
There's nobody out there.
They all have these small like rundown towns, or you're on a ship with the same people all the time.
Yeah. And yeah, like transgender characters or characters we would now interpret as transgender, right? Like they exist in the anime. Besides Ed, you know?
Yeah, besides Ed.
And then in the live action, like they're, you know, Spike wouldn't act like that. Live action Spike wouldn't be like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's interesting seeing things change and evolve.
Yeah. I guess, wait, is Ed trans? Is that what it is?
No, I think that's part of the debate, you know?
Yeah.
Like, Ed is Ed as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, there will be people arguing about Ed's gender and like claiming Ed as like a gender, right?
Yeah.
Claim Ed as a gender.
Yeah.
There's, you know, the people our age who are watching Cowboy Bebop would have been young. And I definitely know there were a lot of people who like latched onto Ed for various reasons, neurodivergence, you know, escaping gender in a way, who now identify as like trans or whatever.
Yeah.
Non-binary. The non-binary people love Ed. So when I said besides Ed, I was not saying that Ed is transgender. I'm saying that Ed is an icon.
Ed is an icon. It's true. So that goes into the most interesting point to talk about Ed's gender in the Cowboy Bebop titular manga was that it tried to be like a little boy has a crush on Ed.
I love it.
You love it?
Well, okay. Like,
you're like, Ed deserves love.
Ed deserves the adoration of someone who will never get Ed. That's how I feel about that.
Yeah.
I don't feel that Tomato is his name. I don't feel that Tomato was actually that strong a love interest. Ed does say at the end that Ed loves Tomato.
Yeah, not in the same way, though.
No. I did not get the sense that it was in the same way.
Not at all.
I think Ed just wants to go have adventures in space and wants Tomato to come have adventures in space too.
Yeah. So to set up the story, well, what was the story? It was that there was these net hackers who were...
This was a weird story.
The story was kind of, I was like, who's doing what now? What? Okay, whatever.
Yeah.
So there were these net hackers who put a bounty on Ed. No.
There were these... They weren't even good hackers, okay?
No, they were bad hackers.
Because the point was that they were old people.
Yeah, and they rejected the internet.
Yes. So what these old people from Earth did, they were called Cross. Cross. What these old people did was they like got little Earth orphans and trained them to be hackers because young people can use the internet.
But they didn't want them to use the internet. That was the whole point.
But they wanted them to hack the internet so that they could destroy it, basically.
Yes, classic.
Yeah. So they were using the kids to use the tool of the enemy so they could destroy it. And then subsequent kids wouldn't have the internet.
We would go back to our roots.
Earth. Playing with sticks in the mud.
Yes.
Walking uphill both ways.
It would be awesome.
Anyway, so they were hacking stuff, because they're eco-terrorists.
Yes.
In a way.
Yeah.
And the government put a bounty on Ed because they thought it was Ed.
Oh, you're right, because they thought it was Ed who was doing it, but it was not Ed.
It was not Ed.
So Ed had to go, obviously, clear Ed's name and find the real.
Right. Well, I don't know that Ed exactly set out to do that. Ed,
Ed was responding to... Ed was responding to a letter that was sent by...
Tomato.
By Tomato, yes.
Yeah.
This is why the story was hard.
Tomato was one of the hackers, the hacker children that Kraz was using.
And Tomato was like, oh no, now Ed is in danger.
And Ed was like, I'm having a great time. I don't know what you're talking about.
It is so fun. Whee!
Yeah. I mean, I kind of liked that chapter because you could see Ed using, I think, some of what Ed had learned as part of the Bebop.
Had learned from Ed's parents.
Ooh, I don't... Those are not parents. I mean, Jet's a parent, but...
I was like, Jet is definitely...
Jet is actually a parent and a good parent, for the most part. Spike and Faye, no. They are also Jet's children.
They're like...
No, they're
party
not Jet's
aunt
children.
and uncle.
Yeah. Poor Jet. Yeah, because, Ed never, really gets upset.
Yeah.
Ed will always find Ed's way out of a thing.
Yeah.
But when Ed, looked up and, broke out of wherever they were in, I was like, oh, yeah, Ed learned that from Spike or Faye, So I was like, oh, you can see the influence the Found family has had on one another. That was cool.
Yeah. And, you got to see how they cared and had observed Ed, and they were just like, this just doesn't feel like something that Ed would do.
Which is the opposite of anything that happened in Shooting Star.
Yes. Exactly. Ed and Shooting Star absolutely would have done it, and they would have been cranky about it like that.
Yeah.
That's the difference here.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. So the only other main character is Ain, and I will say that I think Shooting Star does better with Ain because the other Cowboy Bebop Cowboy Bebop manga doesn't like have Ein. Like he is there, but does absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
Versus Shooting Star was like, okay, he's a data dog and like he features in stories and tries to do cool things. So like,
Yeah.
if you want more Ein, like read Shooting Star.
If you want more Ein, go watch the anime again.
Just go watch the anime. Just
and
watch
like a couple episodes of the live action.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they also, you know, it's hard to make a dog do things. It's hard to, you know,
it's
you have
also
to train
they
a lot
hadn't
of
gotten
dogs.
to Ed,
Yeah, they did. Didn't they? They did.
the live action,
Didn't they?
at the very end.
Oh, they hadn't gotten to Ed.
Yeah, they
Right.
hadn't gotten to Ed.
You're right. They did get to Ein.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But I'm saying that, like, how do you make, like, Ein isn't as interesting sans Ed.
Ed keeps Ein involved. Yeah.
Yeah.
Spike doesn't want to have anything to do with Ein.
Correct. I think the only other funny thing to point out about Shooting Star was that the dates are different in Shooting Star than what you get in the anime. For what I think the anime says, like, the events happened in 70 something or whatever.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But in Shooting Star, it was like, in the year 2022, there was a cataclysmic event on Earth. And I was like, you are so close, Shooting Star.
Oh.
So close and yet wrong.
And we still don't have space gates. And you know what? That's probably a good thing.
That's probably a good thing. Elon Musk is trying to make that happen, and you don't want that.
Oh, no, I don't. No.
Yeah, I was like, you know who would be in control of that? Elon Musk.
Yeah, no. No, thanks.
Nobody needs that. Nobody.
Actually, didn't Bezos want that too?
no,
Or
they
something?
all.
Bezos went up to space.
Yeah, no, but what's the Virgin airline guy?
I don't know.
I forget his name. That guy is more likely to do it, I think.
Yeah.
Anyway, Tech Bros. Cool. So I think that rounds out the main cast. So I think, I think the biggest question that remains here is, why are there 2 shoujo manga adaptations? There are no other manga adaptations of the series. They made 2 shoujo manga adaptations of a seinen series. Why?
I don't know.
Okay, see, here's my argument again, maybe for points for Shooting Star. I actually felt like I understood how that was more of a shoujo manga.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then, because again, like Cowboy Bebop manga just is a seinen, but in a shoujo magazine. Like it's like the same.
That's
it's
the
running on
sense I
same
got.
line. Yeah, but at least in Shooting Star, you're like, okay, you tried to make Spike like a pretty bishonen boy or whatever,
Which is a
like,
crime against Spike.
it is a crime against Spike. And I think that like by making Ed more of the like driving force behind things, there was like more of that, okay, yeah, girls like cute little weird things, you know, like
guess.
going on.
Yeah. And like I think stylistically it's a little closer to
Yeah.
shoujo than the Cowboy Bebop manga,
Yeah.
Sans Shooting Star.
Yeah. It keeps it focused on like the drama with Scorpion and everything.
And there are fewer adult things that happen in
Yeah.
Shooting Star. In the Cowboy Bebop manga, like there are things about your family, like, but like from the perspective of adults, right?
Yeah.
Like
yeah.
in Shooting Star, any family drama is kind of from the perspective of kids,
Yeah.
kind of.
Exactly.
Which is funny because it's from Scorpion.
Yeah. And I think again there's some like in the end they actually kill Scorpion. They don't mean to. That just
Yeah, they straight up kill that kid.
they straight up killed that kid. So they had Scorpion is apparently allergic to tranquilizers. So they were trying not to kill Scorpion, but they found out too late, and then Spike shot him with a trank, and he died like even faster than if Spike had just shot him with a bullet or something.
Yeah. And actually, that's not uncommon.
No, I understood. It circulates through
Yeah.
your body, and
Yeah.
Okay, like I understand. So like in some ways, I'm just like I understand how Shooting Star took the premise and like slightly shoujoified it, you know. But like yeah, Shooting Star or Cowboy Bebop manga, I was like, what is this? These are just straight up adult characters doing adult things. Like there was boob suckling in the last chapter. I was like, what's going on here? And you know, I'm not trying to say that shoujo manga it has to be like a genre or about anything in particular to make it shoujo. What I'm questioning here is really like, what was the marketing decision that like led to this, you know? Like what marketing executive was like, you know what will be really good for increasing the cultural, you know, importance and attract new users, new readers and watchers of the anime is to make not one but two shoujo manga adaptations.
There must have been some kind of connection, like people. Someone knew someone.
Someone knew someone.
Someone knew someone in that particular magazine because they were both in Lala Fantasy DX. You said,
yeah, Monthly Asuka DX.
Monthly Asuka DX. Fantasy.
Monthly Asuka Fantasy DX. There we go.
Yeah, yeah. Somebody knew somebody because they were both in there.
Yeah.
And neither of them is strongly shoujo. I think it was a case of somebody had an in. Somebody was friends.
That's so weak sauce.
I think that's what happened. That's what happens in the world.
I don't know. I don't really get it. I guess. And because like, again, I so strongly associate Cowboy Bebop with like masculinity, honestly.
Yeah, I think most people do. And I don't think it would, you know, we talked about like, do we only associate it with masculinity because we grew up knowing that Cowboy Bebop was for men, right? Like that fandom already existed by the time we got to Cowboy Bebop.
Yeah, because we would have only been 8 when it like initially came out.
And it didn't even like, it wasn't simulcast. That wasn't a thing in 1998. No. But I mean, Cowboy Bebop anime would not have been marketed to little Japanese girls. So like, no, I think something was just like, it's convenient to publish it here. There's a gap we need filled. I know you, you know me. Let's do it. Somebody at Sunrise knew somebody at Asuka, Monthly Asuka.
Yeah, I'm trying to look up. Okay, Monthly Asuka is like the main magazine, right? So I think another key to this is that Asuka seems to be where you can kind of publish darker shoujo. Like it is where Clamp published like Legal Drug and X, you know? An adaptation of Neon Genesis Evangelion, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I just think that might be more like what it is.
That
like,
might be it
like,
too.
Oh, appeal to the dark feels. You know?
If NGE is in there, I could see Cowboy Bebop getting in there. Although NGE does have younger characters and more girls.
Yeah, I think the true strangeness of this is that it's like just not girls or pretty men. And so I don't fully understand this marketing decision that happened. And I mean, again, I didn't spend that much time trying to crawl the deep, dark recesses of the internet for like possible one-liners about why this happened. I know that I think it actually is somewhat of a joke, at least in the shoujo manga community, that it's like, oh, look at this. The 2 mangas of Cowboy Bebop are shoujo. Therefore, you know, Cowboy Bebop anime is the shoujo. And I'm just like, I don't know. It's like not though.
It's not, but I like the claim.
I like the claim. I like the joke. The joke is good. we can keep, you know. I don't know. The only other topic of conversation I had was about the presence or absence of music in both series, because that's such a prominent thing, you know, in the anime. I think, you know, it's got music by Yoko Kanno and jazzy. It's evoking a time in the America, you know. Again, for that, like the manga adaptation that is closer to the anime also, I think, tries to keep more overt musical.
Yeah, they got the girl
references.
with the guitar.
They got that girl with the guitar episode. I also think a lot of the titles of chapters are song titles or
Yes.
song lyrics.
Yes. I do remember noticing that in one of the volumes and then not.
And then you're like,
paying
I don't care
attention.
anymore.
I don't register the title pages usually.
Wow.
You and I are different in this way.
Wow. Yeah, I don't remember anything in Shooting Star being musical.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I think that was actually played up even more in the live action.
The music?
Mm-hmm. Because Julia was there and she was a singer.
Yeah, we got those singing scenes with Julia a lot.
Yeah. Like, in Cowboy Bebop anime, it feels kind of... I never felt like it was absolutely integral to what was happening, except when... Was his name Gurren?
Gurren?
There's somebody... Spike was looking for Julia, or somebody mentioned Julia. You know what? I'm gonna sound like a fool if I try to describe this episode that I haven't seen in however many years.
3 years.
3 years. Hang on. I guess I could look it up. Grencia. My God.
I was like, Gurren? Nobody said Gurren Lagann? No.
Oh no. Nicknamed Gren. Gurren.
Gurren.
Yeah, played saxophone. That happened. But yeah, like the music is atmospheric or plays at the end. You know, it's the opening and the ending. The ending's so iconic.
Yeah.
But like it's not part of the action except with Gren.
Mm. Yeah, again, this is for all of my love of America, I do not understand jazz music. And that's both like racist and just like I listen to jazz music and I'm like, I feel nothing. Like I don't understand this at all. And that's a problem with me and not anything else, but it does not help me love Cowboy Bebop more. Do we have any final thoughts? We're both like meh on Cowboy Bebop overall, and we're like, you don't need these mangas.
Yeah. I mean, again, I like Cowboy Bebop well enough, but yeah, it's not in my heart the way that some other things are.
Yeah, it's not in my heart the way that I know it's in some of my friends or old coworkers' hearts, you know, like
Cowboy Bebop didn't change me in any way.
Yeah, Cowboy Bebop didn't leave that imprint on me the way that, you know, Escaflowne or Fushigi Yugi or even like Maid Sama, you know, like Cowboy Bebop, I watched it and I was like, okay, sure, I get it. And also, I'll go watch Outlaw Star again, you know?
Right.
Oh, man. All right, well, everybody, thanks for listening to Shojo and Tell. Comments, questions, constructive criticism, concerns. Need to tell us what gender you think Ed is? Ed is Ed. Email shoujoandtell@gmail.com or leave a comment on the episode's YouTube page. We're at Shojo and Tell on... Oh, no, I didn't change this yet. Blue Sky, Tumblr, and Instagram. You cannot find Asher on the internet.
Nope.
He is off of me. He exists nowhere.
Wow.
That's right. Are you excited every time you see a new episode from us? If so, please consider leaving a rating on Apple Podcasts or ranting about us on your social media platform of choice. This will help the podcast reach more hearts, or at least ears. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back next time for probably the Po Clan by Moto Hagio. I make no promises. That's the one I'm planning right now, though, so it should go in this order. We'll all find out. Stay tuned. Until then, bye.
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 Who are you doing that one with? It's like, not me, right?